Have you ever wanted to learn the secret to making a woman squirt? Well, get ready because I'm going to teach you the 6 simple steps that'll do exactly that and transform your love life. Before we dive into that though, let's address the elephant in the room. What exactly is squirting? Well, first of all, squirting isn't some myth. It is actually a real experience that women have. Now, squirting is when a woman omits fluid through her urethra during sexual arousal or during orgasm. Now, it's important to note that what is coming out of her is not pee. It comes from a gland known as the Skene's gland, and it is basically the female equivalent to the prostate. Now, this fluid, this secretion that comes out, it does not smell like pee. Now, this liquid is often clear, but in some cases it can have a slightly milky color to it. And in fact, one of the ways to tell if a woman is faking squirting, basically if she's just straight up pissing on you, is does it smell like pee? Do you get the smell of urine when she has this experience? Now, if you do, either she completely faked it, or maybe some pee came out during the act of squirting. But squirt itself is not strictly pee. It is something completely different that comes from the Skene's gland. Now, every woman is capable of squirting. Every woman has the exact same plumbing, shall we say, to achieve this. However, some women are what we would call natural squirters. They have been squirting since day one, whenever they orgasm during sex. And other women have to be shown or taught how to do this through an experienced or talented lover like yourself after this video. All right, let's get started. Step number 1, have the ideal conditions, the ideal environment. Now, I would highly recommend that you encourage your woman to pee before you engage in sex. This way, she's going to feel a lot more comfortable and relaxed when it comes to the act of squirting. She's not going to think she's peeing, and she's not going to worry about peeing on you because she has emptied her bladder beforehand. And this helps her to feel more relaxed and comfortable, which is going to make her achieving a squirting orgasm a hell of a lot easier. Moving on to step number 2, arousal. Now, it's very important that you don't put pressure on your woman to squirt. In fact, in a lot of circumstances, I wouldn't even recommend you even mention to her that this is what you're trying to accomplish, because what that does is it puts a lot of pressure on her psychologically, which is not going to help you. If anything, it's going to inhibit her ability to relax and be comfortable enough to achieve a squirting orgasm in the first place. So I would say, instead, what you want to do is get her aroused first through regular foreplay. Get her aroused, especially her nether regions. Get all the blood flowing in there, get things warmed up before you go and try to get her to squirt. Step 3 is actually finding the G-spot. Now, what you're going to want to do is insert your fingers. I actually prefer, a lot of people will use these 2 fingers. I prefer to use these 2 fingers in the middle here, because you can get a lot more leverage on them, and I'll kind of demonstrate how to do that in a second. But what you're trying to do is you're going to insert these 2 fingers inside her vagina, and you're going to be doing a kind of come hither motion. So try to mirror what I am doing. The G-spot is just on the inside, about a knuckle and a half deep into the vaginal wall, on the front of the vaginal wall. On the screen right now, I'm going to provide a handy diagram, which is going to show you exactly what I'm talking about and exactly where that G-spot is. That's what you're trying to stimulate with your fingers there. And here is where we're going to want to apply pressure with our fingers. Stimulating the G-spot is the key to getting her to squirt. And this brings us to step number 4, the buildup. You're going to need to apply a fair bit of pressure and speed. We're going to need a bit of intensity with this to get her to squirt. And this kind of ties back into what I said before about not really explaining to her what you're trying to do or putting any expectations on either herself or yourself. And in a lot of circumstances, if a woman has never squirted before, you can get her to achieve a squirting orgasm if you kind of surprise her with this motion. Now, like I said, it's going to require a fair bit of pressure and speed. So for want of a better, diagram, right? Pretend that this is a vagina's opening right here, right? And I'm inserting these 2 fingers again. I like to do the kind of rock and roll method. These 2 fingers are what's applying the pressure. We're going to insert, and like I said, about a knuckle and a half deep. Right here is where we're stimulating the G-spot, right? Now, I personally like to kneel alongside her. So she's laying here, head here, vagina to this end. I'm kneeling alongside of her and insert this way. And then what I'm going to do is I'm applying a pretty forceful, let's be honest, pretty forceful upwards motion, consistently pushing into that G-spot. And you're doing it, you can start off slowly, build it up, but this ties into the arousal part before. We're gonna get everything warmed up with regular foreplay, regular sex, clitoral stimulation, kissing on the neck, all this kind of stuff. We're not just diving into the squirting. I want to make that perfectly clear. So we're going to warm her up as we normally would with any sexual interaction. Enjoy the foreplay, enjoy each other. And once we're building that up, once everything is lubricated and everything is aroused downstairs, the blood's flowing there, cool. Then we can start to apply this pressure. We want to start slowly, find that spot, and then as she starts to respond, we're always paying attention to her. We're looking for audible feedback, right? Moans and groans and anything she might actually say to us in that moment. And visual cues, like how is her body responding? How is her breathing changing? Is this a good feeling or a bad feeling for her? Are we hitting things? Are we in the right spot? If she's obviously visually enjoying this, cool, we're in the right spot. If not, okay, we need to readjust. Maybe we're not quite in the right spot. Anyway, back to this increasing of pressure and speed. Like we might start at a rhythm kind of like this. Eventually, by the time we're getting her to actually squirt, again, it's harder to do when there's nothing to resist against, but if I'm doing it if I was going to do it at full pace right here on video for you, it would be something akin to this, like that's kind of the speed. Obviously, I'm not going to be doing as, the range of motion is going to be a lot smaller because it's only this much space I've got to work with, right? But I'm going to be using a fair bit of speed and force. With this technique, you can get a woman to squirt within about 30 to 45 seconds if you do it correctly. This brings us to step 5, a way you can help amplify this sensation that you're giving her of basically your fingers pressing up into her G-spot. A way you can amplify this is with your second hand, placing that on basically the top of her pubic area, kind of on the opposite side of where your other finger is going to be hitting internally. So if that's the vagina and my fingers are hitting up here into the G-spot, my other hand, let's flip this around again, right, is kind of pressing down on her pelvic area to create pressure in 2 directions. So this hand's pushing down, this hand's pulling up, and they're kind of, they're not really meeting each other, but they kind of feel as though they might be meeting each other internally for her. This really amplifies the pressure you're able to apply with that G-spot stimulation pressing. Now, get ready for some explosions. Get ready for waterworks, shall we say. Now, I want to make a really key point here, and is if you've ever watched any pornographic material which involves squirting, they exaggerate things quite significantly. You're not going to see this fire hose explosion. It's going to be more subtle, but you will feel it on your hand that is inside of her once you have helped her to achieve that squirting orgasm. You will absolutely feel things getting a little bit more wet down there. You'll feel something coming out of her through that urethral opening. So you will know if you've achieved it or not. And more importantly, she'll definitely know if you've achieved it or not, because especially if she's never done it before. This is going to be a very new and enlightening, eye-opening experience for her. Now that brings us to step number 6, which is aftercare. She's going to be processing what on earth just happened. It is your job to be there with her, help her to enjoy it, help her to process what's just gone on. Make this a fun, enjoyable experience the two of you can actually share together if it's the first time she ever actually achieved such an orgasm. And then you can continue into regular sex as normal. This is just one more tool in your toolkit, so to speak. So there you go. That's 6 steps to giving her an unforgettable squirting orgasm. Remember to look for visual and audible feedback from your woman. She's not a robot. Don't treat her like one. Let me know in the comments section down below, by the way, if you've actually done this before and what your experience was like. And more importantly, I want to know what kind of reactions you got from your woman when you were able to help her get that squirting orgasm off for the first time. If you found this video helpful, smash that like button, give me a subscribe, and check out stirlingcooper.com. I have so many resources on there that'll absolutely transform your